Hey everyone, it's Synth Designer again, back with another video, this time about lo-fi sounds. So I wanted to talk about how to create some of these lo-fi sounds using Serum. The great thing about Serum is it's one of the most diverse types of synths and can handle basically anything you throw at it. The best thing is you can create anything from the most modern types of EDM music to classic sounds and everything in between. So I really wanted to get into some lo-fi sounds and I want to talk about some keys and some bass sounds that you could create using basically the same principles across the board. And before we start, I just wanted to remind everyone to like and subscribe and to leave any comments if you want to see any types of videos in the future. So let's get into it. I'm going to play just a brief kind of lead melody sound that I created using these lo-fi keys patch that I created. So you can hear it's got that really kind of detuned, low pass type of sound. So I'll show you how we can create these sounds. So as you can see, we have three different types of oscillators here. The sub is just a basic sine wave, and I have it on the direct out feature, so it's not getting impacted by the effects chain. Then I have a triangle and a saw wave here. Both of these are on a 4 voices of unison, and I have the saw wave up an octave. So these are just the basic settings here, but the real way to get the lo-fi sounds is a few different tricks here. So I always like to start actually with the tape saturation. This is a big key to getting the lo-fi sound using Serum. Tape saturation is basically recreating the saturation that you would hear back when synthesizers were pretty simple and run through analog tape. So here I'll show you the difference in sound with it off, and then also with it on the off setting of just bypassing the distortion filter completely as well. So here it is. And you can hear with it on. So as well, I wanted to show you how big of a difference is if you put it on the pre-distortion filter here versus off as well. So you can hear it's creating that low pass filter here as well through this this pre-distortion filter. So that's a big part of getting that lo-fi sound, is that tape saturation, but there's a few tricks as well. I'm not going to get too detailed into the hyper and like the chorus and reverb. These are very basic settings just to kind of beef up the sound a little bit, but they don't really contribute to the lo-fi sound of it. So another part is adding the low pass filter here. Low pass filters are basically cutting all the high-end energy out of the sound and help create that lo-fi sound, obviously. So let's just do an A/B comparison again with the filter on and with it off. So you could hear all those high frequencies coming through here. Now they're gone. So that's also a matter of taste. I mean, since this is technically a lead type of sound, I have it a little bit open, but you could even close it more if you wanted to. So it's up to you for the taste there. Another great way of getting that lo-fi sound that I haven't seen a lot actually, but it's to add this chaos feature on the matrix here. So what this does is kind of changes the sounds abruptly, and when you attach it to certain things, it can really have a huge effect on the sound. So right here I have it attached to LFO1. Let's go back here and look at the LFO here and where it's attached. So I like to often attach my LFOs to the fine knobs. This creates that kind of slight detuned swirling sound that we hear, and you'll see it in a lot of my videos. I almost always have this on when I'm trying to create kind of a lo-fi or vintage type of sound, because that kind of creates that slight detuning, just automated rather than having it be done manually, obviously. So that's just one way that the LFO can kind of shape your sounds to make them sound a little bit more vintage. But we can even go a little bit further. So let's just do a comparison again with the chaos feature on and off. So you can hear it with it on, and let's take a look at it, what it's doing to the LFO. You can see it's just going all over the place, kind of in a random pattern. So if we were to take this off, now it still sounds good, and it still has that kind of lo-fi quality to it, but it doesn't have that wobble to it, that randomness that the chaos really inserts. And a great thing about Serum is you have huge control here over how much and how little you want. So if we turn it up, so it's a matter of taste and how it can fit your song, but it's just a great little feature that can really add a little wobbliness, a little randomness to the sound. And of course, anytime you can add automation and a movement into your sound, it's going to sound a little bit more interesting. So I wanted to go back into a different pattern here and show you how the keys, going to be the same preset here, but I just wanted to show you how it could sound with chords as well. So you can up the distortion a little bit or turn it down. But when you have those longer sustained notes, that's when you're really going to hear some of these LFOs coming into the picture, and the chaos feature that I discussed before. And then briefly, I wanted to show you as well another pattern here and a different preset. Now this is called what I call the gritty pluck, and it's for a bass actually. I use the same principles though, and the thing is you'll hear the features a little bit less, and that's because it's a pluck. So like I was saying, with sustained sounds, you'll get that nice wobbliness to it that just goes back and forth, and you can really hear in the sound. So I'll play you the bass and we'll talk about it right after. So this is kind of like a synthwave driving type of bass sound, and you'll often hear lo-fi type of techniques used in synthwave as well. But I wanted to show you how similar it is, but because it's a bass, I didn't want to have it too wide, and I didn't put any like delay or reverb here. But I did want to show you that I am using the same tape saturation feature here, and let's just listen to it again and toggle it on and off. See, it's very, very plain without the distortion here. And then you can see again with the chaos feature back on, you could turn it up a little bit more because again, it's very plucked. So you won't have the distortion or the chaos coming through quite as much. But you can still see it on the LFO. just how it's going all over the place, basically. And then another thing I did here was actually take the LFO2 to the warp and have it on the asymmetrical plus setting. This actually just creates a little bit of a difference in the sound. As you can see, the wavetable moves around a little bit. Let's see what it sounds like bypassed. Similar, but doesn't have quite as much movement. And again, this is all about the lo-fi types of sound, so you don't want this high end. Let's look at it with the cutoff filter turned up a little bit. So even here is okay, but we really don't want to have too much of the high end, especially since you're going to be cutting off a lot of the high end on the other presets as well, probably if you're making lo-fi. So these are just very simple ways using Serum to create the lo-fi sound. So remember, the tape saturation is a big thing, and attaching your LFOs here to the fine tuning, and again, the chaos feature, which is a big key, and using it on the LFO. Now, you could play around with the chaos feature. You can attach it to anything you want, but it's going to make a big difference in certain situations. If you're attaching it to, say, your detune, it's going to really impact it tremendously, whereas the LFO is kind of a little bit more subtle since it's in the background. So the LFO is a little bit different, obviously, because it's on a low frequency and it's not going to be affecting all the higher end frequencies. But play around with it. It's most important thing is just to explore a little bit and to see what else you could do to create the lo-fi sounds. So I hope you liked this video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more lo-fi types of sounds created, or if you want to see any other types of videos at all. I'll see you next time.